Social Security checks are not going to be buying you very much in the future, and that's because those payments for Social Security and other U.S. entitlement programs, they're going to be paid in devalued, worthless fiat currency. And there's about 173 trillion reasons why, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. But first, I do want to address a comment that was left on a recent video that I published regarding a U.S. debt crisis, because this comment was the inspiration for this video, and it was left by Marianne Norton. So I do just want to say a big thank you to Marianne for watching my video in the first place and also leaving this comment. That being said, I am going to disagree with you on a few points here, but that's okay. We don't always have to agree on everything, but I do want to address this because I think there are some common misconceptions here. Now, Marianne wrote, "What would dumping the defense budget do to help the budget, as well as getting rid of grants for businesses, all the corrupt money that's being pumped into their donors' ventures, the absolute waste? I have to suspect if those sales were trimmed, there would be plenty of money for Social Security and other helpful programs." Now, the first point I'm going to disagree with you on is that Social Security is a helpful program. I don't think being strong-armed into having the government help you manage your retirement is particularly helpful. But also, I want to address a few of the other points you raised here. First of all, dumping the defense budget. So that would be helpful. It's quite a large chunk of the federal budget, about $858 billion this year, I believe, which is a record high, by the way. But in the world that we've created in this process of empire building, we really can't afford to not shell out for the defense budget, because that is pretty much what is propping up the entire dollar world reserve currency standard at this point. It's what backs up the petrodollar system. So you get rid of the military and we're going to have some serious problems. Now, as far as getting rid of grants for businesses and all the corrupt money that's being pumped into their donors' ventures, yeah, trimming pork from the budget would certainly be helpful, but I don't think there's as much money there as you might expect. And in fact, the programs that are really draining so much funds from the U.S. coffers here are the helpful programs you're referring to, like Social Security. So let's take a look at the U.S. debt clock here that we all love so dearly. And I want to draw your attention to this portion of the clock here, this portion that says U.S. unfunded liabilities. And if we mouse over that, we get a definition up at the top. And this is based on data from the U.S. Treasury. And this number includes Social Security, Medicare Parts A, B, and D, federal debt held by the public, plus federal employee and veteran benefits. And it's quite a large number you see here. It's $173 trillion. So if you account for all of the money that the federal government is on the hook for with all of these entitlement programs like Social Security and like Medicare and like pensions for federal employees, you get a number $173 trillion. So that is, multiples the size of the U.S. economy. The U.S. GDP is $25.8 trillion. So it gives you an idea of how much money we really are on the hook for here. And the clock breaks things down here as well. It gives you the total Medicare liability, $34.8 trillion. The Social Security liability by itself, $22.3 trillion, almost the entire GDP of the U.S. economy. So these are vast sums of money. There is no way to find the money to pay for this stuff. And the debt clock even goes so far as to break down this liability per citizen, which gives you a number north of $520,000. But one thing you do have to keep in mind is that a lot of citizens, a big chunk of citizens in the U.S., don't pay any taxes at all. So when you break down this liability per taxpayer, it's north of $1 million per taxpayer. And I don't know about you, but I don't have a spare $1 million lying around to help bail out the U.S. federal government to pay for all of these unfunded liabilities. And the bottom line is money will always be found to pay for them, whether or not they cut the other pork or not. There will be money for these things. But the problem is, what's the purchasing power of that money? Because all of that money is going to be created out of nowhere by the Federal Reserve through the power of the printing press. That is where the money will be found. And so really, we're all going to pay for this through inflation. And that means that those checks are not going to buy very much. In fact, they might buy nothing at all. And Alan Greenspan told us basically as much in 2005 in congressional testimony on the subject of Social Security. So I've got a clip here. I want to play it for you. It's about a minute long, so bear with me here, but I think it's worth watching this to the end.
Do you still believe that we should maintain the fundamental principles of Social Security as you did in 83?
I think we should maintain the principles of Social Security, but I think the existing structure is not working, and that until we can construct a system which creates the savings that are required to build the real assets so that the retirees have real goods and services, we don't have a system that's working. We have one that basically moves cash around, and we can guarantee cash benefits as far out and at whatever size you like, but we cannot guarantee their purchasing power.
Okay, so Alan Greenspan talking about guaranteeing payments in any quantity, but not being able to guarantee the purchasing power of those payments. And that's because you cannot fix an economy, you cannot create wealth simply by creating fiat currency out of nowhere. You have to actually have productive capacity and a productive society to provide the goods and services which lead to a higher standard of living and lower prices for those goods and services. And if you do the opposite, like what our central bank and what the powers that be seem to be on the path of doing, which is just creating money and trying to paper over all of these economic problems over and over again, eventually what ends up happening is what has happened time and again throughout history. The currency loses its value. And one way to protect against that is getting into hard assets like gold and silver. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not advising you to protect your purchasing power with gold and silver. I'm just sharing with you what I am doing. SD Bullion, channel sponsored, they've got their end of the year sale going on right now, a closeout sale. I have a 1 kilo silver bar on the way that I should be getting in the next day or two that I picked up as part of this sale. Now they're sold out of those, but they've got a pretty nice deal on 5-ounce silver bars right now, $2.49 over spot. So that's pretty nice. And when I get that kilo bar, I'll do an unboxing for all of you. You know, if you're on a fixed income and you're going to be counting on Social Security as part of your retirement or to help you make ends meet, I think it's just important to realize that you may not be able to count on the Social Security benefits to purchase as much as they could today, because you will receive them, you'll get the dollars, but it's all about how much those dollars can purchase. And one thing that we've seen throughout 2022 is that prices can rise, and they can rise fast. And there is likely a lot more inflation in store for all of us before all is said and done, and before we come to the end of this debt super cycle. So again, that's why I'm stacking silver, trying to get into hard assets, just trying to weather the storm. Let me know what you're doing to get prepared. And also, if you think Social Security is a real helpful program, if you agree with Marianne, leave a comment down below to let me know why. And I just want to say thank you to Marianne and everybody else who watches, comments, likes, subscribes, and shares these videos. Stay safe and happy stacking, everyone. I'll catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker, out.